Hello guys, you're welcome back to this tutorial, and today we'll be learning how to draft a basic bodice pattern. So as we have done earlier, we took our accurate body measurements in which we'll be needing for this project. So for this tutorial now, we'll be needing few things, our pattern paper, either we mix of the white or your brown paper, anyone, or if you are drafting directly on a fabric, maybe an old wrapper or any kind of fabric you can play around with. So this is beginners friendly. Then you need your straight ruler, your curve rule. It's not necessary it's this particular type of curve rule. It can be the regular and common one. Then your pencil. Any pattern you want to draft, I recommend you use pencil first. Then after you are sure of what you are doing, you can now make use of your pen or your marker to make the lines visible, and your eraser to erase any mistake. Then your scissors, please, different scissors for paper and different scissors for fabric. Okay, do not use the same scissors for the two. Then of course your tape roll and your measurements. Okay, along the line, by the time we start, I would be saying the measurements we'll be needing, starting by drawing a margin of about half inch, 1 inch or more, but it shouldn't be more than 1 inch. Although there are some patterns you would need to give more than 1 inch margin, like the trouser and coat, but this one we just need half inch. Remember, you start with your pencil first, so you draw half inch round straight like so. Then towards this place, your margin is just like a guideline, a starting point for you, so it's not something. So I have to draw the margin. After you might have drawn the margin, it might not be visible because I make use of pencil to avoid mistake. I will later make use of my marker to make it visible. So we start with the shoulder measurements. So my shoulder measurements divided by 2. So I have 15 divided by 2, that is 7.5. You mark the 7.5 like so. Then from that point, you come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. I already explained what the shoulder slope is. Then you can use your pencil to draw a very faint line. It's just to be like a guide for you. Okay. Then from this edge here, you come in by 3.5 to get your neck width. It might be more or less, okay, but myself, I'll be making use of 3.5 by 3.5. That is what I want to make use of because I'm using my own measurements for this tutorial. Okay, so then you come with your curve rule to get a round neckline. Okay, it's not a must to make use of this kind of curve rule, remember. So you connect like so. That is your neck width. This is your neck width and this is your neck depth. Okay, but the standard is around 3 by 3 inches. So from this 1 inch you mark the other time, you connect to the neck width with a straight ruler. Okay, don't worry, I'll still make it visible after using my pencil. I'll make it of my marker. Okay, so after this we'll draw our armhole line. Okay, then the chest line, then the other measurements. So to get your armhole, you divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5. So mine is around 7.2 inch. My bust is 34 divided by 6 plus 1.5, 7.2. So then you connect with a straight ruler like so. Remember, it's a pencil, it might not be that visible, okay, but we'll still make it visible. So with your pencil now, with your ruler, you can just connect like so to the margin. Okay, then this is your armhole line. This is where we get to our armhole from. But just calm down and watch me. Okay, so from this shoulder now, you take your bust point on the bust, then the half length. The half length is also the front length. Remember, this is the half basic bodice block. This is the half, not the full, okay? So now from the shoulder to 10-inch, that's my bust point, to 13-inch, that's my underbust, then to 16-inch, that is my front. You might have taken all this like this, then you draw a straight line to connect the dots. So what I always do is that after I've taken it from one point, I'll do the same thing all through the line so that I'm very sure the line is straight. So I'll just do that now. So from the bust, on the bust, then 16-inch. Okay, so after we have make use of my pencil, I went ahead to make use of my marker to make it visible, just like I promised. So this is our shoulder slope. This is the armhole line. This is the chest line, bust point, on the bust, then the front length. So I'll just label that so that we would see. So this is the chest line. So CL means chest line. BP means bust point. Don't be scared, it's not blood pressure. So this is UB for your under bust. Then FL for the front length or full length. Okay. So you can just write that down in case of next time, so you won't forget. So after which we have done this now, so this is your neckline. It is called neckline. Okay, we have different types of neckline. You can just make use of your marker to just make it visible too. Okay, but for this tutorial I'll just make sure everything is visible so that we won't get confused. Okay, so this is our neckline, shoulder slope, our armhole depth, chest line, bust points, under bust, then our full length. So after that, now the next thing to do now is to take our dart line. Okay, dart line. So to get our dart line now, we'll be making use of our bust span. Bust span simply means your nipple to nipple. That is the measurement from one nipple line to the other. That is your bust point. So that is what we'll be making use to get our our dart line. So now what you will do now is that your bust span divided by 2. Mine is 7. Yours can be more than that. Your client's bust can be as much as it is, because depending on the bust size, that is what you get your bust span from. Okay, so mine is 7 inches divided by 2, 3.5. Then I'll mark the 3.5 down. Okay, mark the 3.5 down, then connect with a straight rule. Connect the lines with a straight ruler. Okay, do we get that? Don't worry, I'll still make it visible. Okay, so you connect from the bust point to the full length or the front length. Okay, connect with a pencil like that. Then one other thing is, you see this, your front length is also the same thing as the waist. Okay, because the half scale is stopping at the waist line, remember. So you can just write the waist here. Okay, so that some people might be thinking that the front length and the waist, how far? You see the same thing, yeah. Don't be scared. Okay, so on this waistline now, from the dart line we drew, you come in by ½ inch on both sides, ½ inch from one end and ½ inch from the other end. Those are the dart legs I told you about. Then you connect to the bust point. Okay, you connect to the bust point. Sorry, don't mind the underground noise. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay, just bear with me. So that is that. So these are the dart legs and this is the dart line. So this is how we get our darts. Okay, come in by ½ inch on both sides. Okay, those are the darts. So this is the dart line. So after getting the dart line, you can now take your horizontal measurement. So on the chest line you take your bust measurement, on the underbust you take your underbust measurement, and on the waistline you take your waist measurement divided by 4. Then mind you, your seam allowance, basic sloper does not necessarily need a seam allowance, okay, but you might decide to add it in case some of us do forget things. You just add it. That's 2 inch maximum, okay. Some people do add 1.5, but me, I would suggest or recommend you take 2 inch, because there's no how you want to trim and cut and do this that you would cut out the 2 inch. No, even if you're lining, you turn it inside out, you still have about 1.5 by the time you're done. To get your armhole, don't forget we have not drew our armhole. So you come to this line, you measure whatever you have on this line, then you divide by 2. So to save your time, is either you make use of the centimeter, just like I've told us. Centimeter is always easier to use. This is 18.18 centimeter. You just find the midpoint, and that is 9 centimeter. But if you cannot make use of that centimeter and you don't have the time, time no day, just fold your tape roll into 2 like so. Make sure you place it from this first line to the other end, then you fold it into 2 equal half, then you get the midpoints. So from this midpoints now, you come in by 0.5. Okay, come in by 0.5, sorry, come in by 0.5, then you connect with your curve row. Okay, make sure that when you are connecting, you're connecting from this edge, you're connecting from this point, from this shoulder slope points to the 0.5, then down to this place. Okay, so you connect. Please just take your time while doing this, and that is why I said you should always make use of your pencil. In case there is a mistake, you can easily clean it up. Okay, do it gently, slowly. Okay, you can easily clean it up and redraw it. So do you see now? Let me just make use of a marker so that we'll see clearly. It's actually simple, guys. You don't have to be scared about pattern drafting. It's actually simple, easier, and interesting. Yes, let me put it like that. For me, it is interesting, because by the time I'll be making use of this, see now, by the time I'll be making use of my pattern later, I'll be happier. Okay, so just take your time. If you think it's stressful, just take your time and do what you're supposed to do. So now our horizontal measurements, let me just make that visible for once and for all. So the dot line first thing first, the middle line, then your dot legs. Okay, then the dot legs. So that is that about the dots. Now to take the measurement, remember we took out 1 inch on the waistline. When you are taking your circumference measurements, you have to impute it back. Okay, so on the bust line, you take your bust measurement divided by 4. Okay, 8.75 for mine. Sorry, it's 8.5. Okay, 8.5, then plus 2 inch seam allowance. On the under bust divided by 4, mine is 6.75. Okay, then this, whatever you have here, you measure it. Okay, this area I like to make use of my centimeter. I think I have 1.7 centimeter here. So you return whatever you have here, you return it. Okay, so my 6.5 plus whatever I have here, I think I have 0.7 0.6. I have 0.6 here. So 6.5 plus 0.6 plus 2" seam allowance. Okay, plus 0.6. So that is around 9 point something. We return it back here. Then on the waistline too, we have 1 inch here automatically. Don't forget. So my 6.5 plus 1 inch, that's 7.5. So plus my 2" seam allowance. You see what I have? Do not mind if you have a funny shapes around here. It will always be like that. So you mark it out. By the time we start sewing, everything will fall back in place. Okay, so do not mind the kind of shape you get. Everything is going to set. Okay, so boom. So guys, after the waist dart, there is other darts called bust darts. You see these bust darts, apart from the fact that it helps you get a fitting around the bust area, it also helps to eliminate the difference between the front and the back length, because obviously if you draft your pattern and you leave it like so, it will be longer than each other. But with your bust dart, you can eliminate that difference at the side. So by the time we are done drafting, you will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the bust dart is just the difference between your front length and the back length. That is what you use to get your bust dart. So most people, it differs. Okay, so to get your bust dart, it's usually the difference between your front length and the back length, and then most time it used to be around 2 inches. Some people might even have 1.5 inches, 1 inch and above. Some people do have 3 inches difference, but the standard is just 2 inches. So for this tutorial, I'll be making use of 2 inches. So from your bust line around this area, you go down by 2 inches. Okay, use your pencil first in case of any mistake. You mark 2 inches like so. Then from your bust, remember all that leads to the bust point. Okay, so from your on your bust point line rather, sorry, you come out by 1 inch or 1.5, depending. Actually, sometimes it's not up to around here, but it depends on how you want it. So me, most time, I remember we have our seam allowance here. Okay, let me just draw the seam allowance out so that it will be easier for us to calculate. Okay, so let's assume this is where our measurement stop, of course, before adding the seam allowance, because basic sloper does not necessarily has seam allowance. It does not used to have seam allowance. Like I've said before, it is just like a template. So because of us, we that we used to, that things skips our mind easily. That is why I'm adding the seam allowance directly on the pattern, so that when we are doing our practicals, we would not forget. Okay, so we'll start from here now. So from my bust point, I did like to come out by 2 inch, 1.5, depending on your preference, because there are some tops that you buy, you're ready made. If you look around the bust that you see a small dart around that place. Okay, so that is what they call bust dart. Bust dart is just, sometimes it's just fashion. It's not, depends on how you want it actually. So me, I do come out by 2 inch. Then from there, I'll connect from that place down to this place. So let's assume this is where our measurement stop. That is where you will connect it. So you can even come out by, from your bust line, come out by 1 inch or 1.5 or even 2 inch. Do we get? So from there you connect to the 2 inch on this side. Okay, so by the time you close this dart, your front length and your back length will be the same. Okay, by the side will be the same. So let me just use my pen to draft this out. So this is it. This is your bust dart. Okay, but let me just do this. So this is your bust dart. This area is your bust dart. So mind you, before you could close a dart, you need to open another dart. So if you want to close this dart now, you will need to open your waist dart, but we are not doing that manipulation today. So please, let's just move on. So this is all for the front half sorry, this is all. So this is the half scale, and this is for the front. We are going to drag the back, then we'll come back to the front for the full scale, and the same thing to the back. So if you want to draft an half scale, this is all for the half scale, same thing for the back. But so if you want to draft an half scale basic bodice block, this is it. Okay, then you just cut out like so, like so, like so, like so, just around. Okay, so for the back pattern now, what I did first is to take the back length. Obviously it is shorter than the one for the front because there is no bust at the back. So this is the chest line, the bust point, right? Then the waistline, there is no under bust. And this bust point is just because of the dart. That is why I'm putting it there, to be easier for us. Okay, it's not a must you have the bust point line at the back. Then you take the zipper allowance too. It can be 2 inches, but what I did now, I took 1.5 inches. Okay, so after that we'll do the the neck width and depth. Okay, so for the neck width, it's same thing as the front, 3.5 for the neck width. Okay, then the depth I would use 2 inch, but it is 1.5. It used to be between 1.5 to 2 inches. Okay, but for me, I'll be using 2 inches because later I'll be using this to make an outfit, okay, garments or whatever I feel like making. So then you connect with your cover like so. Remember, this neck depends on your width, but this is a basic bodice, and this is how it should look like. This is how it used to be. Most designers, this is what would do. Okay, let's make this obvious. Okay, then the back armhole is not as wide as the front armhole. Okay, then after that we take the shoulder slope, but before that, so you take your shoulder measurement, of course, after the zipper allowance, because you know you have to fold this zipper allowance inside. So you took the shoulder measurement from where the zipper allowance will stop, not where it start. Okay, so you take your 7.5 like so. Mine is 7.5, remember. Then from there you go down by 1 inch. Okay, for the front 1.5, for the back 1 inch shoulder slope. Then you connect like so. You connect, keep connecting. Then down to the chest line. Okay, do you see that? Everything should start after this zipper allowance line. Okay, for the waist dart, remember your bust span 3.5 on the bust line, the bust point 3.5. Then you connect with a straight rule. Some people do it to the chest line, around this chest line, but not directly. So what you just do now is from the chest line you come down by 1 inch, then you extend the line to that 1 inch. That is what some people do. So in case you see another tutorial and it's quite different, don't think otherwise. So some people do it up to the chest line at the back. Some people do it stop at the bust. So after which you have gotten your dart line, you come out by ½ inch on both sides, then you connect like so. So this will be all for the back pattern. You have your zipper allowance, your darts, your seam allowance, your measurements plus your seam allowance. Please don't forget, okay? so that you won't make that mistake when you're transparent.